Hello, we're live. This is a recording if you're watching this later than this day here, which is, what day is it today? I don't know, my watch doesn't tell me anymore. 21st of September. This is a recording if you're watching this after that, so you could have been here live. Subscribe to the channel and we'll let you know when we go live. I'm Phil in the Digital DJ Tips studio, and it's a live show, which means that we're going to cover the topic that the description and the title said. We're going to start that in about 10 seconds, but it also means we can talk to you, our live audience, afterwards about this or anything else you want to talk about, because it's a Thursday and that means it's an open questions day. However, our topic today is, why do pro DJs spend a lot of money on expensive controllers? What do pro DJs look for in a DJ controller, in other words? Because really, we often tell our beginner DJs here on this channel, look, you can get a really good controller for not very much money, £200 or £300, dollars, euros. This is a Pioneer DDJ Flex 4 controller. This is fantastic. It's a great beginner controller. It's a great starting point. It's a great second controller if you have got more pro gear as well. But it's not what pro DJs look for in their main piece of DJ kit. And then people look at things like, and I'm not kind of picking on Pioneer DJ here because I've just said one of their controllers is great, but then people look at things like this, which is the Pioneer DJ Flex 6. Oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? It's upside down. Oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? Look at the size of those jog wheels. Oh, it feels just like the pro gear like I've got over here, right? Same kind of jog wheels and stuff. This is a good upgrade, isn't it? Something like this from something like this. Oh, whoa, no, it isn't a good upgrade, not at all. It's the same thing in a bigger box with bigger jog wheels, because it doesn't have any of the features that I'm about to show you that are the real things that pro DJs look for in a DJ controller. So if you've bought a beginner controller, if you started DJing with something that is what we would recommend, you know, just a cheap, let's get started piece of gear, and it's time to upgrade, make sure your upgrade counts, make sure you consider the features that are going to mean you're getting pro gear. But also, if there's features you don't need, there's no point spending the money. So, you know, some people also come into this hobby saying, I'm going to spend, you know, it's the same people who buy a tent that will work at the top of Mount Everest to go camping for a weekend down the drive, right? It's easy to spend on things you don't need. So for both of those reasons, I want to show you how you can make a wise decision when you're spending, look, €1,000, dollars, pounds plus on your next piece of DJ gear. What do pro DJs look for in gear? So I'm going to give you 12 things here. And the piece of gear we're going to start with, we're going to use for the demonstration, is this one here. And the reason I've used this is that it's not particularly impressive looking, right? It's just a standard looking DJ controller, but this has pretty much got everything any pro could want on it, and these are very popular with DJs who are kind of in the know. It's actually the Roland 707M, and I'm not even going to talk about everything that's on here because it's got lots of stuff which are pretty unique to this, and which kind of like muddy the waters here. This is quite a unique device, but nonetheless it does contain everything that I want to talk to you about now. Right, so I'm going to start around the back of this unit. We're going to look at some of the things around here, because the inputs and outputs are one of the big things that you spend extra money on here. So the first thing is, this has got balanced outputs. They're actually here. So these in fact, they're not, they're here. It's like a mirror image that I can see in the studio. Right, so here's our normal output, right? All controllers have got one of these. This controller that I'm about to put in the shot here has got these as well. There they are. They're called RCA outputs. They are the standard kind of outputs that you'd get on hi-fi gear, that you get on the back of even pro mixers and so on. And these are on everything. But this has got these as well. Why? Why has it got these kind of like big posh looking outputs as well? Why is this not enough? Well, the reason is that these are called balanced outputs. So balanced outputs have a clever way of taking the audio across much longer distances without any interference, any buzz, any hum, and it basically sounds better when it gets to the other end. So a DJ controller like this, and all good expensive DJ controllers, will always have those balanced outputs on the back, because there is a chance that you're not going to just want to use it plugged into something near. You know, this lead here is fine. Like in the studio here, it's plugged into a mixer just under my desk. And if you were plugging into a DJ mixer somewhere, that'd be fine as well, or some speakers in your house. But as soon as you're trying to carry what you are playing on your DJ gear a long way, you need the balanced outputs. and that will take a nice clean signal, for instance, to your PA system if you're a mobile or event DJ. And you don't get that on cheaper controllers. So it's a good idea to make sure if you're going to be playing and plugging into Pro Gear and the leads are going to be long, let's say longer than about 5 meters, you have balanced outputs as an option. Otherwise, they're not that important. So while we're around the back, just to cover things off in the kind of order as we move around the controller rather than in the order of importance. These aren't in any way order of importance. You might also notice around the back here that we have got a zone output. You see that? It's there. Now, this is something that you get on some Pro Gear, which is actually really useful if you are, for instance, a DJ that's been asked to play, let's say a wedding reception, right? Where you are playing music in 2 places at once. You're kind of feeding music through to the main dance hall where you're playing, but you also got like you've got some music playing in the background in the bar next door or something. The zone output can handle that. You can have some music playing through one of your 4 channels on your gear. It's normally channel 4 to the zone output, and then the other channels are in use in your main DJ set. So for mobile DJs, event DJs, especially wedding DJs where it's a long day and there's stuff going on in more than one room, having a zone output is good. So I think the Denon DJ Prime 4 also has a zone output, and then Pro DJ mixers, you can route them sometimes to have a zone output as well. But that's what that is, that thing on the back, it's called a zone output. The other and probably far more useful output really is this one here, which you must have on any Pro piece of DJ gear. This one here, the booth output. So the booth output is so that you can have different audio playing in the DJ booth. Because if you think about it, if you're DJing at home or in a studio, I'm just in a little studio here, right? The only speakers in this studio are these. So I only need one output to go to those speakers. There isn't another set of speakers over there, but that's exactly how it's set up in a nightclub, right? Because you've got your DJ booth with your speakers, your booth speakers, and the main or master, which might use that balanced output to carry a signal a long way to the PA system and then off to the speakers over there, is completely separate. And so the booth output gives you a chance to have separate speakers plugged in for you compared to the ones that are heading off to the main dance floor. And a booth output will always have a booth volume as well. So you can turn up and down what's going on in your DJ booth independently of the master volume that's going out to the main dance floor. So it's crucial if you think you're going to be DJing where you're going to want separate speakers for you to the ones everyone else is hearing, that you get a controller with a booth output. So let's carry on around the back. Here is something which makes life really, really easy on a DJ controller where there's lots of people using it. Let's say this is a piece of equipment that a few DJs use at a party. You can plug more than one laptop in here. So my laptop is plugged in here, but look, there's a spare socket next to it. And that makes it very easy to switch over or to play back to back with someone, because you can switch on the top of the unit between the laptops. And that means that you can have more than one piece of kit playing at once. And that is far easier than having to like get some extra music playing that's nothing to do with your laptop, unplug one laptop, plug another one in the back, and then carry on with someone else, right? So that's there as a feature for multiple DJs to use the same piece of gear either at once or when you're switching over. Makes life a lot easier. If you've just joined us, we're talking about things that pro DJs look for in a DJ controller. The reason pro DJs will pay 3, 4, 5 times the amount of money than you or I would pay just for something to play on at home. Like the example we used was the fantastic little Pioneer DDJ Flex 4. And if you are going to upgrade your gear, why buying something that's really big and flash and it's got loads of big bits and pieces on it and stuff? It's a bad idea unless you understand the actual features that you really should be looking for when you're upgrading, because this is the Pioneer DJ Flex 6. It's actually not much different to the Flex 4 down there, and it wouldn't be the upgrade I would suggest. I think you should understand the kind of features I'm talking you through now in order to choose. And I'm not saying don't buy that brand, buy this brand. That's not what it's about. It's about understanding the features pro DJs look for in a piece of DJ gear. And we've already covered a lot of the outputs, right? The balance, the zone, and the booth outputs, and the computer inputs at the back of the unit. Let's just finish off at the back of the unit now with a couple more things before we move and look at the top of the unit. So the first thing at the back of the unit is one that means that this is becoming a little bit more than just a DJ controller, because most DJ controllers are just that. They control the software. So you've got DJ software running over on your laptop, and the DJ controller simply controls that software. You know, I turn something on here and it turns on the screen, right? That's how it works. The faders, the buttons, everything controls what's going on at the top. However, this one and a lot of Pro gear is a little bit more than that, because on this one you can plug in your decks. You can have extra inputs, record decks, CDJs, samplers, synthesizers, whatever. They can plug into here, and then this acts like a normal mixer. If I were to pull the computer out entirely, it would still work with those things that I've got plugged in around the back. So it's not only, it might look like a DJ controller, but it's not only a DJ controller. It's a standalone mixer as well, just like this mixer here, this Pro Pioneer DJ mixer. So therefore, if you spend more money on something that looks like something that costs less, it might be that what you're getting is all this stuff on the back. Now that might be really useful to you if you need to plug extra gear in. If not, well, think about looking for something that doesn't have that on the back, because it's you're just spending money on circuitry you're never going to use, right? So the only other thing I would like to highlight around the back of the unit before we move to look at other things is power, right? So power is the way of making sure that this unit's got brighter lights on it, that the sound card sounds better and is louder, and that all the features on it can work properly, because otherwise all the power is coming from your computer down here, which is fine for smaller controllers, but when you get up to bigger controllers, you really do want to see that they've got a power socket on the back. If there's no external power option, be suspicious of a controller that claims it is Pro, because it damn well is not Pro. Right, let's have a look at the top of the unit now to look at a few more features. So the first feature on the top is the mic channels, 2 microphone channels up here, and the 2 microphone inputs around the back were here, by the way. These are important on a Pro controller because most DJs that play out are going to need to use microphones. Even if you're a club DJ or a DJ that doesn't normally turn a microphone on, there will be times when you want to use them. And having proper microphone channels with low, mid, high and a microphone effect selector is something that Pro DJs always look for. So let's say that you were a DJ playing a wedding. Now you might have a wireless microphone plugged into one of these microphone channels that is with the father of the bride or whatever, and then your microphone plugged into the other one. You've got full control over them both there. It's important because otherwise you need to get an extra mixer, an extra separate mixer to plug either before or after your DJ controller, just so you can have enough microphones. It's a complete waste of money. So if you think you're going to need microphones, go for a controller that's got them on. But if you don't, some of the best controllers out there, expensive controllers, I'm thinking more like the Scratch performance controllers out there, they don't have particularly good microphone channels because they're not aimed at DJs that might want a couple of great microphone channels. So they tend to have one that's pretty good, right? So again, if you don't need 2, maybe look for a controller that's only got 1. But the microphones on things like this are monumentally poor. They're just literally a socket, if you get one at all, it just goes in one end and out the other, and that's it. It doesn't feed through the software or hardware, there's no effects, there's nothing on it. It's designed just to make your voice heard. And that's the end of it, right? So that's not good enough for a kind of Pro environment. Now, the next thing is the pads. So this is a performance thing, and this is definitely a thing that DJ software, laptop DJs have got used to, and it's something you want to think about. These are the pads on this controller, on one side of this controller. You'll notice that they are multicolored, and they've got lots and lots of options at the top here for selecting lots of different things. If you look at the pads on something like this, I haven't actually got this turned on, but if you look at the pads here on this, they are much smaller, they're clicky, and they're only one color actually. And some controllers, I'm thinking of the Numark controllers, are even kind of like more basic than this. That's fine. But for full control over your software and for full feedback so you can understand what you're doing, having pads like this that are multicolored is a lot better. And that's one of the things you pay more for, multicolored pads on more expensive controllers. And they tend to be better as well. Like they're better for finger drumming, they work better. So if you think you're the kind of DJ that's going to use a lot of hot cues, a lot of slicing stuff and samplers and pitch play and loops and stuff, and that is where they're controlled, then make sure you've got nice pads that you feel comfortable with. Otherwise you will regret that purchase for sure. And again, you know, some controllers that look flash, really their pads are not up to much at all. Now, another thing that is really important is VU meters. Now, these are the VU meters. Now, a decent controller will have meters. So if I start the music playing on a couple of these decks, see these meters that are coming up here. They will have meters which are one on every deck, and a master up the middle there. So these are important because when you're mixing with multiple sources of music, music that's come from different places, all the music is going to come into this unit at different volumes. So you use these knobs at the top called the trim controls or the gain controls or the level controls to use these meters down the side to make sure that they're all balanced. So if I had two things playing there, I'd use these to make sure that these are both nicely in the yellow but not in the red. And the same with all my other sources. Once you balance those, this will all work the same. So these at the top will all sound roughly the same volume. And the master volume controls the master VU meters up the middle, which makes sure you don't go into the red there as well. So as soon as you're starting to get into proper sound audio routing and making sure you sound great out of PA systems in clubs and stuff, you really do want individual VUs and a master VU as well up the middle to make sure that you're playing loud and all your stuff is balanced but not too loud to start distorting things. Another place where you want control is the effects. So the effects in your software tend to be pretty good. The effects on Serato are controlled here. Got two sets of effects here. But what tends to happen with DJ controllers is that you don't get control over the software effects on the DJ controller. This is the Pioneer DJ Flex 4 again. It's got some nice, very basic control over one effect, and that's it, and a filter. And the rest of it is kind of like you're pretty stuck for controlling the software effects, and this is for Recordbox and for Serato actually. Whereas a controller like this, even though the effects don't appear to take up an awful lot of the panel, this gives you full control over everything we just looked at. So if you're interested in controlling the effects in your software well, then look for control over the software effects on your controller. But some controllers go even further and have hardware effects built in, and hardware effects will give you extra effects that aren't in the software. Some of the Pioneer and Rain controllers at the top end of the market will do that. So that gives you something extra, an extra layer of things you can play with. But you will always get better effects control than you get on basic controllers on the big ones. And the final thing, and I could go on because there's lots and lots of stuff, but the final thing is the audio quality. Now, the audio quality gets better the more you spend on DJ controllers. They're very good at the lower end, but there is always a bump in quality when you spend more. And to give you an example, in this studio's got an awful lot of electronics in, as you can see. We've got powered monitors here. We've got lots of broadcast equipment here. We've got a full DJ setup there. We've got lights buzzing away with all their transformers there. There's a cacophony of transformers under the desk here. Then I've got a laptop really nearby. And over there is all the production stuff. 1, 2, 3 lights, 8 cameras, another Mac there, and a printer, and all the kind of usual office stuff. You imagine all the buzzing, all the transformers, all the potential audio loops and stuff going on in here. And actually, that gives me a really good environment, a lab, to see how well the sound quality transfers from a controller to the speakers in a hostile environment, right? So it's not only about the quality of the audio, it's not only about 24-bit 96 kilohertz sound card with lossless, it's about how well shielded that sound is and how when the sound arrives at the speakers, it arrives as it should do. And I can tell you now for a fact that the cheaper the DJ controller, the more likely I am to get hum and buzz and hiss and just general badness in a place like this when I plug it in to do a lesson or whatever. Whereas as soon as we move up to the more expensive controllers, they're always whisper quiet when I plug them in, and then when I start playing they sound sweet. So you do get better audio quality, and this one has got lovely audio quality. It's got a great sound card built in. So we've been talking about the things that pro DJs look for in a controller. They don't look for big things with flashy lights that look really cool. They look for the real features that are going to mean better DJ sets, easier DJ sets, better sounding DJ sets. Things like proper professional outputs, the ability to plug in more than one computer, power so that everything sounds good and everything's lit up properly, really nice features like microphone channels, like decent effects, good metering so that they can actually play loud but not too loud, and of course really great audio quality, to name a few things that I just spoke of. So I hope if you are thinking of upgrading your DJ controller, buying your first one even, I've given you some stuff to think about here. That's the end of our lesson part of today's show. So if you're watching this video as part of the article that covers these things, you've seen what's in the article now, or if you found this video as a recommendation on YouTube and that's what you wanted to see, you've seen that now. But do hang around, because regulars will know we're a DJ school. We've got lots and lots of students and subscribers all over the world. I like to pull in the laptop here, switch over to our chat and spend the rest of the time chatting about what we've been talking about here. But also, as this is a Thursday show, where we do any questions, talking about anything the hell you want to talk about. So that is what we're going to do for the next few minutes of this show. So welcome. Hello everyone who's tuned in on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch. It's great to have you here, and I'm now going to grab any questions you're asking and see if I can help. Firstly, hello to lots of our regulars. Let's name check a few people. DJ Baldwin, Keshia, Mike, Mixmaster G, of course, Brett M System, and to the Ruckus. I'm looking for names I see every week. Hello to Graham and Mika and Kevin. Benedict, hello Benedict. So what have you got to say? This is from Jonathan, who says, what's the best external sound card to use with Traktor? Talking about audio interfaces and audio. So why would you use an external sound card? This has got a sound card built into it. The reason you know it's got a sound card built into it is that you can plug in your speakers and you can plug in your headphones. It's got sockets for all of those. In other words, this cable here that's going off to the computer plugs the computer digitally into here, and then the sound card in here becomes available to the computer. So it's just like the audio circuitry inside your computer. It's like an extension, a second one. So why would you need to buy an external sound card? Because a lot of gear doesn't, or some gear anyway, this has got a sound card built in, but some gear doesn't. So the Traktor Control, which is no longer here, X1, it's over there somewhere, is a recently launched controller but doesn't have a sound card. So you'd need a sound card to use with that. Well, I would say the Traktor Audio 10 is probably a good one. I think they still make it. I think it's called the Complete Audio 10 now. I'm not sure what they call it now. Traktor, Native Instruments make sound cards, but ultimately for DJ gear, you're going to want a minimum of a 4-in, 4-out sound card. If you're using DVS, there are actually specialized DVS sound cards. This is one. This is a Reloop Flux, which says Serato on it, but it also works with Traktor and Virtual DJ. And these work by having inputs and outputs. You get. In fact, this is a 3. This isn't a 4, this is a 3. This allows you to plug in 3 decks and then control them from your computer by also plugging your computer in. But Traktor make one which is 4 decks as well. Mainly you don't get these anymore because DJ mixers such as this one here, the Pioneer DJ, DJ MA9, but also most DJ mixers nowadays will work very happily with your software. So again, if you're using like a Traktor Control X1, but you're using club gear, then you could just plug into the mixer and you wouldn't need an audio interface or sound card, same thing at all. Mike says, hi Phil, I heard that Pioneer said to hold back on the iOS 17 update. Of course, Pioneer DJ has a record box app on iOS. I haven't actually heard that. I haven't heard that. There is always an argument if you're using these things for performance not to upgrade your OS on any device until everyone else has and all the things have been ironed out. I know that Serato is saying don't upgrade to, is it Sonoma now on Mac, which is very normal. I always wait until the next one's been announced before I upgrade to the current one personally, but there you go. Quite possibly true. Johnny says, I'm so used to club setups that the closest thing that won't break my bank was the Pioneer DJ Flex 10. It was my sweet spot. Yes, it's a professional controller through and through, that one. Miguel says, I've got a Rev 7 and the right deck backspins a lot less than the left deck. Is there a way to adjust this so that they're even? So I don't know if you mean physically backspins or when the sound comes out different. Maybe let us know, Miguel, and we'll let you know. You Don't Like My Music says, I wish Roland would make a bigger unit. Do they? No, they don't. You know, this is a small unit. It's got small jog wheels, and this is going to be a deal breaker for some people. I get it, but no, they don't. I actually love this layout. I think it's fine. My advice, you know, sometimes we get mobile DJs who want to upgrade to Pro Gear, and they're like, I'd like to upgrade to Pro Gear, but I'm going to buy something bigger because I don't like the look of and insert something smaller here, even though that seems to have everything I need. My advice is always just get yourself a hard case. You know, the really hard cases with the big lids that lift off that are made of wood and they've got big metal corners. Get yourself one of those. Mount the unit into that case and it immediately looks professional. Get a really nice DJ booth, you know, a really nice facade and a really nice DJ booth you can set up like the one we got here. This is a UDG one that we've got in the background here. Get one of those, plonk your big case on top of it, doof, get some nice lights, and some good speakers, and then make it all look cool. No one will care about how big your DJ controller is. For performance, some people think they prefer to have bigger jog wheels and stuff. Again, I get it, but actually I found the layout on this to be fine for DJing with. The bits that are important, like around the crossfader and stuff, is all very bare. It's all fine. The faders are big enough. The pads are a little bit smaller than on some, but the fiddly bits, like up here, is massively fiddly, right, and stuff. Well, you set and forget this stuff. You're not like DJing with this stuff. You don't DJ by messing around with the microphone bass controls, right? So it's kind of been thought about. But yeah, I know what you say, but I don't think they're making a bigger one. This is from DJ Baldwin. One thing we've been talking about on the site is how some speakers, and I'm not talking about proper speakers like these, but some, by proper, you know what I mean, some Bluetooth speakers, and a lot of us have got them, right? These are little Bluetooth speakers. A lot of us have got Bluetooth speakers because they're just useful to have hanging around. We've got a couple in our house, little speakers that you turn on and they just connect to your phone and play music. This is a mini rig. Some Bluetooth speakers, even though they've got ins and outs, like this one here has got proper inputs, so you can play this, plug your DJ gear in using a cable here and DJ straight through this. Really, really good if you've got a tiny controller, something like this, because you can assemble a really small DJ setup that you can take and play anywhere you want, all on batteries, right? So a lot of people like the idea of these kind of speakers, but the thing with these little portable Bluetooth speakers is that even if they've got that line-in socket, even if they've got that wired input, which you would think would be fine for DJing with, right? Because it's a wire, so you can plug your gear in. It's not always the case, and usually isn't the case, because nowadays these speakers have all got that feature where you press a button and it links to another one, and I press a button, you can have 3 or 4 all working at once. They call it party mode, right? And that party mode introduces latency or delay between what goes on your DJ gear and what comes out the speakers, and delay is the end of the game for DJs. We must have no delay, just like an instrument. Imagine like I don't know, a pianist or a guitarist. You strum the chord and it comes out the speakers a bit later. That ain't gonna happen, right? It needs to be instant. And the same with DJing. So that means that these speakers, even though you can plug a wire in, they don't work properly for DJing. So the idea is we're looking for speakers that you can plug a wire into that are Bluetooth and portable, and you can use for all that other good stuff that you want to use it for. But when it comes to DJing, they have no latency, and they're surprisingly hard to find. The mini rigs, which is why we've always got them on display here, are completely zero latency. They're fantastic. However, most aren't. We actually tested one recently on the website. Which one was it? I think it was the Marshall. Let's go and have a look at the website together and we'll discover it. Hasn't made it onto here yet, actually, so maybe it's just back in the main blog to get it. Have to get it pushed up onto there. There it is. So it's this one here, the Marshall Middleton Bluetooth speaker. And this was one that looked quite promising. And it turned out that it's pretty low latency. Like, it's not perfect, but I can DJ on it fine. Most people would be all right with this particular model, but it's not perfect. And it's a shame because, you know, it is really rare to find zero latency speakers that are also Bluetooth and wireless and all that stuff. And so to get back to the reason we're talking about this, the comment, which was from, remember who it was from now, it's from DJ Baldwin, who says, I just bought the 100 Party Box by JBL speakers, and they're great when using the guitar input from my DJ gear. They sound good and they're loud, and they will have zero latency as well because it's a guitar input, so that's cool. So DJ John Lowe, hi all. Can you store your analyzed stems songs in another folder or even on an external hard drive? Or just even replace them in your music source folder and delete the original? I'd question why you want to do this. You can analyze songs ahead of time and keep them in your library in Serato. Don't know if you can do it in Virtual DJ. You can't do it in Rekordbox, I don't think. And then they're always there when you load up to play, right? So you have got them all waiting and it's not happening while you DJ. I don't think you can move them to a separate hard drive, although I wouldn't be surprised if Serato is storing them in the background in a different folder, John. But I'm sure some of the more technical of our audience will be sharing a little bit more nuance on that question with me now. Stems, by the way, is where you can press buttons and separate the a cappella from the drums, from the bass line, from the melody, typically in a song in real time. It's great fun. We've actually got a course called How to DJ with Acapellas and Stems coming out very soon. We're working on it at the moment, which is actually why, if you were looking carefully at what was going on my Serato there, I've got a Dua Lipa acapella loaded on one deck, and I've got a Dua Lipa song loaded on the other deck, because the lesson I was filming today was about beat gridding these acapellas and about how you can use the original song to make the beat gridding easier to do. So yeah, we were in the middle of filming a course on this. So yeah, stems are great, but storing them separately, I'm not sure, to be honest. You Don't Like My Music says, if you've got balanced outputs, use them, you're paying for them. Yeah, there's an argument for that, definitely. So Jamie says, what phono leads are those? What do you recommend? These are DJ Tech Tools phono leads, and we recommend them. They're cheap, but they are a big step up from the cheap ones that come with your DJ gear. Hello, Chris, in rainy London. It's not rainy here. It's 26 degrees and sunny down here in Gibraltar. So Jamie, yeah, that's what you need to know there. Right, more questions about gear. So lots of you giving thumbs up for our tutor James Hype, and why wouldn't you? He's an absolute genius and a superstar and a great teacher as well. Snuggles Prime says, hi Digital DJ Tips, I have a question. Do DJ controllers have depreciating value like phones? Like how the iPhone 15 was just launched, the iPhone 14 would be cheaper, right? Does that happen with controllers? In lockdown it didn't happen because no one could get controllers. Secondhand gear rocketed. It depends on the gear. You know, certain DJ gear, like certain cars, tends to hold its value better than other gear. Like for instance, here we've got the Pioneer DJ DJMA9 mixer. One of these in good quality would probably sell for not far off the cost of it new, because it becomes a supply thing. Same with the CDJ 3000s, they're quite hard to get. But yeah, as soon as they get superseded, they tend to go down in value. But I am not a fan of new DJ controllers coming out every week, every month, every year, and they've slowed down a lot. They don't, it's like, right, this isn't quite true, but it's almost true. It's like, imagine a new keyboard being launched for your computer every year. Hey, get this year's keyboard. It's like, what? It just does what it has to do. DJing's not about that. This is a good case. This is years and years and years old. It's got everything you could possibly need and more. DJ gear doesn't need to have the latest features to let you DJ properly. If you think back to the days of when I was young, we only had 2 turntables and a mixer. Everyone had that. The culture we know and love developed from gingerly working out how to mix from one track to another to literally DMC finalists smashing it. All on that gear. So it's not like you need new gear every 6 months in order to advance as a DJ. Your phone can do more than you'll ever do, unless you're in the top 1% anyway, with a phone app for DJing on. So it just becomes about what you're comfortable with and sticking with it. It's like the trainer companies, right? There's a new branded trainer every season, but your feet haven't changed, the way you run hasn't changed, and to be quite honest with you, as a runner, I can tell you that the features they add to them are always rubbish, they're always unnecessary. So yeah, it's just, for me, do a good job, make something that will last, support it well, and yeah, so yes, controllers do, you know, when they're superseded, they do drop in value, the older ones, but they're not coming out as fast as they have done in the past, and I don't think that's a bad thing. So Mixmaster G is agreeing there, saying the Prime, with the latest supply chain, as in the Den & DJ Prime, they actually went up in price, but generally it's like, you know, in the supply chain issues, but generally it's like all electronics, they do go down when new ones come out. So DJ Stu says, balanced outs on both master and booth is #1 for me. We're back to talking about controllers here. Then also dedicated controllers for looping, something that the DJ MS5, for instance, doesn't have. Yeah, so you generally tend to get balanced outs for both. So these are the balanced outs for the booth, these two here. I'm actually going to put my head forward to make sure I'm pointing in the right place. Yeah, I am. So there's 2 types of balanced outputs, actually. Let's talk about that for a second, because it might be confusing to newcomers. The first type of balanced outputs are the kind of classic XLR. They're the big chunky plugs which go into here, which are the same as the ones you see on microphone cables. The other type are more like the ones you see on the end of headphone cables, not the little ones that plug into you know, your iPod, but the bigger ones that plug into proper hi-fi gear. But they are two different ways. They do the same thing though. But yes, I agree. You don't like my music says an auxiliary input is always handy on controllers, but you pay for it. Yes, so it's kind of a halfway house between this and no input at all. So for instance, again, back onto the cheaper controllers, this is a DJing Flex 4, there is no auxiliary input. There's nothing on the back here. You can't plug in anything other than a microphone, which just goes straight to the output anyway. There's no way plugging in your phone as a backup source or someone else's controller if there's a couple of you playing at once. It's very normal for cheaper controllers to have that limitation. And then at the top end of the market, the controllers have full inputs. This has got 4 inputs, 4 ways of plugging in turntables or record decks. But that is like 2 extremes. Another kind of middle ground is to have 1 input that is an auxiliary. So at least you could plug in a phone with a playlist ready. So if you are swapping over DJs or if the computer crashes or whatever, then you still got a way of quickly playing music, right? So that's kind of the middle ground. Right, what else can I help you with? This is from Alex, who says, probably a dumb question. Whenever anyone says that, it's always a question that 100 people are asking, but only one has got the balls to ask it. So I haven't even read Alex's question. Hello, Alex, on YouTube, but it's probably not dumb. Anyway, Alex, probably a dumb question, but do you have a beginner DJing for dummies video, Phil, especially getting equipment set up properly? I'm looking at getting into it for the first time. Okay, so not quite, but we do have what you need, Alex, and let me explain to you how our training works here, because a lot of people don't know that we are a DJ school. They just see us as, you know, people who make videos on YouTube and the people who run the Digital DJ Tips website. But hey, we are a DJ school. We're the world's biggest. So let me show you how it works here. So the first thing that I recommend you do if you're interested in anything we do is just join us and get a copy of the book. This book here is the book that outlines the way we teach. It's from 2016. It's still completely valid. It's been updated and it's going to get a full rewrite very soon. But at the moment, it's still completely up to date as far as all the important stuff goes. It's got in it, right on the beginning, page 3, the way we teach, which is the 5 areas. What you're talking about is setting up the gear, right? Which is area 1, gear. And you're quite right to start there, because without knowing the gear and setting it up, you're stuck. And that's not really about how to use the gear, it's how to set up the gear. It's understanding the gear, what you need, how it plugs together, how to get it to work. Number 2 is the music. Getting the music, finding the music, organizing the music, preparing the music. Number 3 is the techniques. This is where most people think they need to do all the work, but without these 2 things, this is kind of a bit pointless. This is actually what you do on the gear, right? It's mixing. Number 4 is playing out, because if you don't know how to deal with being in front of people, crowd control, reading the crowd, working with other DJs, how to plug in a club, how to deal with promoters and managers and so on, you're not going to be able to do the things that you've been practicing in the first 3. And the final one, promoting yourself, I can completely guarantee to you, once you have played your first DJ gig, because you've worked around these 4, you are going to want more and more and more. You're going to be an addict. You're going to need to mainline this stuff. So you're going to need to know how to get more of these gigs, and that's what promoting yourself is about. And what we figured out here is that most DJs will work on 1 or more of these, or they'll be poor on 1 or more of these, and the whole thing's holding them back. But if you recognize you need to be working on all these areas, then not only will you get better quicker, because anything you can add to bring the ones that you're weak on up to where you are on the strong ones will turn you into a better DJ faster than just randomly working on your stuff. But if you're disillusioned, if you're sick, you can't find any music you like, you can go and work on one of the others. Or you're sick of mixing, you don't feel you're getting any better, you go and work on any of the others. Or if it's time to DJ but you're not feeling it, hey, go and work on your websites, go and work on promoting yourself, etc, etc. So this is how we teach DJing, and this book is yours. It's free when you join Digital DJ Tips. There's a link underneath this video. Just go click there, link, take the book, have it from me. You can buy it in all good bookstores. You can get it on Amazon, you can get the audio book, you can get the download for your Kindle or whatever, but it's free. So do come and join Digital DJ Tips. And the way you do that is by going to digitaldjtips.com, clicking on join, clicking on join at the top here, let's do third time lucky here, and you'll go to this page here. More importantly than that, and even more importantly than this, which is our gear guide, which is going to help you massively because it'll make sure you don't make mistakes buying your DJ gear. You get a copy of that for free as well when you join Digital DJ Tips. More importantly than both of those things, you get to join our Tuesday weekly email list where we help you become a better DJ. Every week we'll send you an email with, it will have a mixture of lessons and reviews and features and things that we think you'll find interesting. That'll just help you become a better DJ in 7 minutes a week. That's the average time it takes to read that newsletter. So come and sign up. That's the first thing you should do. And then if you buy into it, if you like what you read in here, if you understand that's the way to learn DJing, then you said, Phil, have you got a video that will teach me to set up my gear? Yes, we have, but we have videos that will do far more than that. And they're all in this, the complete DJ course. It is the first thing you will find on our homepage. It is our flagship product and it has helped tens of thousands of DJs to learn to DJ. It has got videos that cover not only the 5 steps that I just talked about, gear, music, techniques, playing out and promoting yourself, but it goes into a lot of detail about the mixing. It starts off by teaching you the way that mixing's always been done, manual beat mixing, how to do it without any of the modern features. Then it moves on to teaching you how to mix with modern features, loops and cues and key mixing and stems and all that stuff. And then it moves on to talking about mixing in all the genres you might want to mix in. That's a big part of the course. So not only does it cover the 5 areas that you need, but it's got the kind of mixing training that you're going to need as well to make it all pull together. So if you like what you read in the book for free, come and get the course. It is a phenomenal investment in your DJing, and I wouldn't push you to some kind of free YouTube video and say, hey, that's all you need, because it isn't. You need structured training. You need to go through it slowly and methodically, and in the end, you'll learn quicker that way. Right, let's get some more questions. Thank you for that question, Alex. It's always nice to talk through the way that works. This is from Easy Chats, who says, I also use the JBL Party Box 110. I use it as a mono booth speaker. It works really well. There's no lag, especially as it's battery powered. It's good for the sound nearer to me and to stop me turning up my main speakers. Yes, I love carrying around. Let me just have another drink. I love carrying around a small speaker with me. You know, let's say you're booked to DJ in a bar, right? I've been playing in beach bars. We're down here. We're like the Mediterranean coast here. We're like the West California of Europe. It's all beaches and resorts and so on. And there's a few favourite beach bars just a few miles up the coast there in Spain that I like to play in. And you know, they're lovely. The waves are almost lapping at your feet. There's pina coladas and mojitos going out at sunset and wonderful crowd and all that kind of stuff. And you turn up your DJ controller and just play as the sun goes down. It's my absolute dream. But they don't have good monitor speakers. Quite often you're just in the doorway, so you're kind of protected from the elements and so on, and the speakers are out on the beach, so you definitely need a monitor for yourself, if at the very least so you can enjoy your own music. And so I like to carry that kind of speaker around with me, and it's good to know you found one there that works for you. Right, let's grab some more live questions. This one is from, you're all talking about the mix, about the Pioneer Quad. And that is a controller that I love. A lot of people don't, but I think it's a great unit. So let's grab something a bit different. Trying to find something a little bit different, because obviously I've asked for you to talk about your controllers, and that's great. But yeah, here's a good one. This is from Jack on YouTube. Hello, Jack. Jack says, a good number of DJs are using alternatives to a club standard setup. Which I've got here. And for example, and then there's a load of examples there. Yeah, I mean, one example, there's Layback Luke. He DJs on his phone, our own Layback Luke. Will you ever do a breakdown video of these types of setup? Funny enough, we've been talking to Luke about doing a breakdown of what he does. So possibly, yeah, we will. I mean, they're called modular setups, where you just take the module you want and you plug into the rest of the gear to get everything else. Yeah, we might do. Thanks for the suggestion there, Jack. I mean, most people use either DJ controllers or club gear or standalone gear. Standalone being the stuff where you just plug a USB in. Club gear really is basically standalone gear, but in separates, right? So these are all separate units, but at the end of the day, you plug your USB in and play as if it was one big unit. And controllers, we know you plug your laptop in, like this one I've got here. Most DJs use that, but quite a few, a small minority, a large minority, shall we say, use something different, as you say, modular gear, something like that. So yeah, we might well cover that. Miguel is saying, this is Miguel coming back to us about his jog wheels on his controller. He said the right hand deck physically backspins less than the left deck and the torque feels heavier. Does seem like something that you need to raise with the support then in that case. If it's that, it's not going to be a software setting there. Right, what else can I help you with before I have to run off today? What am I doing next? I can't remember. I'm on a need to know basis on my calendar. There'll be something important calling me away soon. This is, right, okay. So Mike on Facebook has posted the Pioneer DJ news release about iOS iPad 17 for using their software. So if you're interested, go to our Facebook feed of this on the Digital DJ Tips page and click on that link. But cut a long story short, don't upgrade yourself to iOS 17 if you want to use Pioneer DJ's software to prepare your music and so on that platform, because apparently it won't work. Let's grab something from Mo, who says, do you have a good idea for doubles or multiple tracks in music folders and in Serato? Why do you want to have the same track more than once? You can load it onto as many decks as you want at the same time, and you can put it in as many playlists as at once. So why do you want the same track more than once? I want to understand why, and then maybe I can help. DJ Sarah says the Technics 1210 Mark 7s are now £100 more each than they were a year ago. Technics famously don't seem to lose their value at all. They're one of those things that they're like, Volkswagen camper vans, they don't lose their value. Technics turntables, they don't lose their value. Certain items that are just, everyone loves them, old or new, aren't there? So is there any downside, says you don't like my music, to turning the booth monitors off? I prefer to DJ in my headphones. No downside at all. It doesn't mean that if you're talking to people, you've got your headphones in, so you probably have to take your headphones out to talk to people. If you're lucky enough to be left alone when you're DJing, using your headphones is great. Layback Luke uses his headphones exclusively. James Hype uses his headphones exclusively. Nothing wrong with that. So Sony Man 34, hi Phil, what component would you recommend to switch camera angles like this, or like this, or like this? The component I'm using is an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. Cost about $1,200. It switches our 8 cameras here, including our live stream feeds and stuff, and it gives me all the inputs and outputs I need. Funnily enough, it's a little bit like the video controller version of this with all its inputs and outputs. It's got everything I need and more. So that's what I use. You can get these if you've only got like 3 or 4 cameras. You can get smaller versions of these, and you don't need the ISO version. The ISO version records every camera independently onto a very fast hard drive, so that I can then edit them or give them to my team to edit anyway, away from here afterwards. So we use this for making tutorials and stuff as well. It's not only used for these live streams. That's what I use, and as I say, you can get little ones. I know James Hype uses the little version for his live streams. They're really, really good. Alternatively, you can just do it in your laptop. We use a piece of software called eCam, E-C-A-M-M. It's Mac only, it's fantastic. It gives you much the same stuff, but it's all happening in your laptop. So as long as you can get your cameras plugged into your laptop and you've got a powerful enough one, you can do all that without buying any hardware at all. JK McLaren on Twitch, hello Twitch fam. What are your tips for mixing older 90s music, which sounds a lot quieter and more muffled when mixing in to brighter and better produced tracks of today? Is it more than just gain and EQ? Also, the grids are often all over the place. Thank you. Right, let me give you 3 tips, and this is where we're going to end today. 3 tips on mixing older music. Again, I want to mention James Hype, because James likes to mix One More Time by Daft Punk into modern music. Now, One More Time is a classic, and you'd think it was pretty well produced, and it is well produced, but times have changed, sound has changed, and it actually sounds quite quiet and muffled compared to everything else. So the first thing to do, let's run through the obvious thing, then I'll give you 3 kind of extra tips. So the obvious stuff, which you're already doing, but if you're mixing with older tracks and you tend to mix with your EQs flat for everything else, and maybe your gains at 11 o'clock, which is very typical, you're probably going to find that the older tracks will need a boost, and then it might be that there's a frequency that really is underrepresented, quite often the bass actually, and maybe a bit of mid, which will give it more presence and give it more thump. That's one way of making them sound a little bit better. Another way, a second way, is to use a drum loop on another deck and sync it to it. So typically you would have a 4-beat loop from a track that you want to, that you like, which is just drums, looping on another deck, and you would sync it to this deck, and then you'd mix those drums up and have them playing underneath all the time, underneath the track that sounds all weak. Now suddenly it's going to have real modern drums going in it. It's called a live re-drum. And the third thing I would, and a lot of mobile DJs do that. I know that our friend Rachel, who's made a few videos for us, is a big fan of having just a 4-beat drum loop playing away on another deck of a track that is very similar to the drums in most of what she's playing in her set, and then she'll bring in a Billy Joel track or something which has got really weak drums in comparison, and leave this proper thud going away on the other deck so it doesn't immediately sound thin when she takes out something more modern. A third thing then is beat gridding. So you're saying the grids are all over the place. Beat gridding is where you put a grid over the track so that the software knows that the drums are here, and they're here, and they're here. Here's the beat and here's the bars. It's easy to do. It makes a world of difference. Have a look at the software on the screen here. This is a beat grid, right? You see this number here? There is where the beat is on this. It's actually an a cappella I've got gridded up here. Doesn't mean that it can't have a beat grid. That's actually what I was teaching. On the bottom deck here, I've got the full track, and this has got a beat grid on it as well. So you can see, actually it hasn't. It's not analysed, this track. Let's load a track that is. Let's load an 80s or 90s track, a Tina Turner track. Right, so here's going to be a good example of a track where the beat grid might be off. So I can't play you this because we'll get taken off air instantly. Good old copyright police. But I can see immediately, this is the first beat. It doesn't seem to be on anything. It seems to be in silence. If I jump into the track, these are not on the beats. You can see these are not on the beats, right? There's a beat there, but these are not on the beats. Also, let me just load, in fact, let me just go back there, and this is the track that was on there before. Let's load that Tina Turner track onto the other deck, because what I want you to do is look at the difference. I go right to the middle of What's Love Got to Do With It by Tina Turner, and right to the middle of Levitating by Dua Lipa. Look at the difference in those waveforms. This is the Tina Turner track. This is the Dua Lipa track. This is so loud, it's so saturated, it's so, every frequency is max as loud as possible. This track has got all the black, you can see, top and bottom is space, is silence. This track is breathing. The loud bits are quite loud, the quiet bits are very quiet. So that's why you're going to be putting the gains up on these tracks, because they're going to need to generally be louder. And also that is why sticking a re-drum on loop underneath will help, because it'll give it some of that extra energy that's missing from the modern track. And so the beat grids then, to get back to what we were talking about, on all software you can correct the beat grids. So I'm not going to do it now on this one, because at the very least it will take ages. At the most I'll get taken off air for playing the track. But for instance, there is where the beat is, there is where the line is that says that should be a beat. So there's all kinds of controls in there to help. You can move the whole grid left and right to help, and you can also make the grid smaller or wider to help, so that they all line up as you go through. But the important thing is that the BPM will change slightly on this track, because it was played by a real drummer and not by a drum machine. So as you move through the track, you can set new markers. So for instance, if I moved a bit further on in the track and found the beats were starting to slip, you can see actually they're quite good here a little bit further on in the track. But at some point they'll start to slip. This is actually doing really well, this one. They've started to slip here. I can see them going out. They're starting to get a bit late. So what I can do there is say, okay, no, that was fine up to there, but now I want to put a new one in there. And that's now okay there. It's okay, it's going to be okay back where I started. And I move through the track like that. And then when I DJ with that track, it will suddenly not have the beat going all over the place, and I can press the sync button and it will work with more modern music. So that's a few tips there for making older music sound better, and also for making it hold the beat better when you're DJing with it, so you're not constantly trying to adjust to keep it in time with everything else that's going on. Today, we've looked at things that pro DJs look for in a DJ controller, and we've also answered as many of your questions as I could squeeze in. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you're new to all of this, we are the world's leading DJ school. All you got to do is go to the website, digitaldjtips.com, click join, grab a copy of the book, become part of the community. And if you're watching the replay, it's because you didn't subscribe to this channel and you didn't know it was going live because we couldn't tell you. So click that subscribe, click the bell, and when we go live twice a week in term time, you'll get a notification so you can come and join in and ask questions of your own. Meanwhile, I'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend. Tuesday, 3 p.m. London, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm back here in the studio with another live tutorial. Until then, get good, get out there and make the moments. Till next time, bye-bye.